In a bustling city, there lived a young man named David, who had always dreamed of becoming a professional musician. He had spent years practicing his guitar, writing songs, and performing at small venues. His talent was undeniable, but success never seemed to come his way. Record labels rejected him, and crowds at his shows were often sparse. With each setback, his friends and family began to doubt whether he'd ever make it. One cold winter evening, after another unsuccessful gig, David found himself sitting on a park bench, guitar by his side, feeling defeated. Maybe they're right, he thought. Maybe this dream just isn't meant for me. As he stared at the frosty trees, a man sat down next to him. He was older, with a kind smile and a well-worn violin case slung over his shoulder. Noticing David's downcast expression, the man said, "Tough day?" David sighed. "More like a tough year," he replied. "I've been trying to make it as a musician, but it seems like no matter how hard I try, I just can't catch a break." The man nodded sympathetically. "I know how that feels. But can I share a story with you?" David shrugged. "Sure, why not?" The man leaned back on the bench, his eyes gazing into the distance. "Years ago, I was just like you, chasing a dream, playing music anywhere I could. But it was hard. For every bit of progress I made, there were 3 setbacks. I almost gave up so many times." David looked at him, curious. "So, what kept you going?" The man smiled softly. "I realized something important. Success isn't just about talent or luck. It's about mindset. Every time I faced rejection, I told myself, this is just part of the journey. Instead of focusing on the failures, I started focusing on the lessons. Each no brought me one step closer to the yes I was waiting for. And while the journey took longer than I expected, it was worth it." David thought about the man's words, feeling a small spark of hope reignite in his chest. "So, you made it?" The man chuckled. "Not in the way I originally thought. I didn't become famous or rich, but I became something better. A musician who loved his craft no matter what. And over time, I found success in ways I hadn't imagined. I now play in orchestras, teach music to kids, and have traveled the world with my violin. My dream didn't look like what I thought it would, but it turned out even better." David sat silently for a moment, letting the man's story sink in. "So, you think I should keep going?" The man stood up, adjusting his violin case. "I think you should remember why you started in the first place. If you love music, then keep playing, keep learning, and keep growing. The path isn't always straight, but if you stay positive and open, it'll lead you somewhere amazing." David smiled, feeling lighter than he had in weeks. "Thank you. I needed that." The man nodded, giving a final piece of advice as he walked away. "Remember, a positive mindset doesn't just change how you see the world. It changes what you're capable of it." David picked up his guitar, his heart filled with renewed determination. The setbacks still stung, but now he saw them as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. With each day, he played his music not for the outcome, but for the love of the process. And as he did, doors began to open that he hadn't even noticed before. Months later, David found himself performing in front of a packed crowd, not at the biggest venue, but at one that appreciated him. His journey was far from over, but with his positive mindset, he knew he was on the right path. The moral of the story is that a positive mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities and helps you appreciate the journey, not just the destination. Success is not always about achieving fame or recognition, but about finding joy and growth in the process. With perseverance and the right attitude, even setbacks can guide you to unexpected and fulfilling outcomes.